Hello, welcome to everyone for online session of systems in mechanical engineering. Now in this lecture we will discuss topic of introduction to basic mechanism and equipment. There are various mechanisms and equipments. These are used for various domestic application as well as industrial applications. Last lecture we have discussed chain sprocket. Now in this lecture we will discuss spring. Spring is very important component. Already in unit number 4 there are various systems in vehicles. In suspension system the spring is very important component. Now what is spring? There are various classification of spring used in various mechanisms. First of all we will discuss definition of spring. Spring is an elastic object that stores mechanical energy. Springs are typically made of spring steel. There are many spring designs in everyday use. The term often refers to coil spring. Depending upon the application, spring can take any shape and any form. There are various applications of spring in engineering field. What is the function of spring? To the main function of the spring is to absorb the shock or vibration as in car springs, railway bumpers, etc. And second one is to measure the forces in spring balance. Apply the forces in brakes, clutches to stop the vehicle. Already in systems in mechanical engineering unit number 4, that is vehicle systems, braking system, suspension system, there are springs are used for applying the force. Spring is also used to store the energy as in clocks, toys, etc. Spring can control the motion of cam and follower, maintaining contact between two elements. These are the various functions of spring. There are various classification of springs. Number 1, helical spring, conical and volute spring, torsion spring, laminated or leaf spring, disc or beveled spring, special purpose springs. Some of the springs are made for the special purpose applications. These are the various classification of spring. Helical spring, look this schematic diagrams, actual diagram images of the springs. That is helical compression spring, helical extension spring, coil spring, leaf spring. That these springs are used in a suspension system, torsion spring, oil seal spring. These are various application types of the springs. Helical spring generally made in the form of wire, usually circular cross section area, bent in the form of helix. That's why it is called as a helical spring. According to type of the load and deflection required, the cross section of wire may be the square or rectangle. Maybe the sum of the helical spring cross section according to requirement may be rectangle or square. Helical spring, conical spring and volute spring. Conical and volute spring are used in special applications where telescopic spring or spring with stiffness that increase with load is required. Torsion spring is maybe uh, helical type or spiral type. Helical type torsion springs are used in applications where the load tends to wind up the spring. For example, electrical machines. In electrical machines, such type of torsion springs are used Lip and laminated spring already we have discussed in a suspension system. Such type of lip or laminated springs used. The lip spring consists of number of flat plates. It is also called as a leaves of semi-elliptical shape and different lengths held together by using clamps or bolts. There are maybe U clamps are used for this. This type of spring are widely used in automobile, uh, railway suspension systems. In these springs, the tensile compressive stresses are produced. There are various another application of spring may be used for door closer mechanisms, door lock mechanisms. There are some advantages of the spring. Spring number one advantage is produce the good cushioning effect to avoid the vibrations, shocks. Springs has a good shock absorbing ability. It has high durability. Spring has the ability to store the energy inside it. It is easy to design and cheaper to produce. Spring is a maintenance free device. There is no requirement of maintenance. If any damage crack, the maintenance is very easy. Only replacing of this spring. There are some disadvantages of spring. Day by day it's lose its shape and stability. By using day by day use, it may be loose or the stability. Sometimes when the axial load of the spring is increased, it produces the buckling phenomena. Whenever there is a higher axial load, there is a buckling take place, and due to the buckling, maybe the crack of the spring coil. If the spring is broken, that is then it is hard to repair. Whenever there is a